You are tuned in to your dose of positivity. I am Marlene Motivates, and as I always say, just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
And to gain further support and encouragement, join my channel membership. Hey everybody, it's Marlene of Marlene Motivates. Welcome. I am your channel for all things motivational, positive, self-improvement, and mindset shifting. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button and join the channel membership so you can get member-only perks. So welcome to everyone who is here today, live or in the replay. Hey replay gang, how are you doing? I just wanted to cover this amazing topic because I think it's so important, because I see some confusion sometimes when it comes to these three things, and they are all completely different. So let's start off first by talking about, the least known. Let's see who's in the chat. Hey, Embarkation Nation, how are you doing? Welcome. Happy Tuesday to you. So nice to see you here. And everybody, if you could please hit the like, I really appreciate it. Let's start off with talking about acquaintances. So an acquaintance is a person that you know through someone else. So it's not an associate, it's not somebody that you see on a regular basis, but someone you're acquainted with through another person. And at times, people have a confusion about this because they group all of this the same. Like people will say all three are friends. And it's not true. Doing well. Thanks so much for asking. Awesome. I'm so grateful to hear that, and welcome into everybody who is live right now. Um, so, everybody, let's talk about acquaintances. You can be acquainted with somebody through work, through your through somebody that you know, through a friend of a friend, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there is a bond there. There doesn't mean that there is a trust there. It just simply means you're acquainted or you know of that person. And it's very important to decipher between the three because people will um, put a title on somebody and the other person will be looking at you like you're not my friend, you're an acquaintance or you're an associate. So we really need to know what is the difference so we can, you know, treat the person the way that, according to the relationship. And it's all for good reason because we could be acquainted with someone, when it comes to work or something like that, but it doesn't mean that it is going to go any further. It doesn't mean it goes any further. There's nothing there. It's just that you know of them, and that's the end of it. I know this person through this person, and it doesn't mean that it goes any further. And that's so important to know and to understand. Not everybody that we know, not everybody that we are associated with or we are acquainted with does not make them our friends. And I wanted to cover this topic because I think it's so important to talk about friendships. There's a lot of people who just throw the word friend out there very loosely. And it's not true at all. Everybody is not your friend, or people will think that people are their friends, and you may be the one to be a friend to them, and they may not be a friend to you. So now that we've really talked about, an acquaintance and what an acquaintance could be, we now can move over into talking about a person who is an associate. Now, associate carries a closer bond than an acquaintance. So, an associate is someone that you can know. It could be through business, it could be through school, it could be through many other things. So, an associate is a person that, you don't necessarily have a friendship with them, but you know them and you will hang out with them. So, you do things together. So, there is some sort of relationship, but not necessarily a friendship, not necessarily that you have the bond that you would have with your friends. It's not somebody that you would regularly, you're going to call them and talk to them, tell them personal or private business. But it's so important for us to talk about a person who's an associate because associates really do matter in our lives. We have to have people that we associate with, okay? Let me see. So, let me just read this that I found on the internet. So, what is the difference between an associate and a friend? A friend will always want you to succeed, and they will help you in any way possible to achieve that. An associate are often the ones who will stand by and watch you fall, but not do anything to assist. Friends will defend you when you are not around. And I found that to be true, partially, not 100%, because I have had people who are a person that I associate with and not a friend, and they will be supportive and kind to me. But somebody that I call a friend, they will do quite the opposite. And the one thing about friendships, we put people in that category as a friend, but really, what are they doing to be that definition of friendship? See, friendship is more than just a title. Friendship is no more than just the time that you put into knowing somebody. It's the does that person do for you, or what do you do for them? Friendship requires some action. There has to be something involved in friendship. So, do you have friends? Do you have acquaintances? And do you have associates? All are part of our lives. We all have all three in our lives, but we have to be very careful to not say someone is an acquaintance, um, is an acquaintance to us, and they feel that they're our friend. So we have to clarify and let people know where they are. It's very important to have boundaries with people. um, I have this I'm sorry guys, that's why I had to push the live back. I'm having a lot of allergies today, so I apologize for that. So let's talk about, the difference between associates and acquaintances. So in general, when we talk about an acquaintance refers to those people that we have not met nor do we know well. And that's what I was talking about earlier. An acquaintance is somebody that you know from a person, from a person, from a person. So there's not any close bonds. There's not anything like you don't feel any type of way that if you weren't able to go and be around them, or you aren't able to spend any time with them, it wouldn't do anything for you. But it would be different if you have that type of bond of a friendship with somebody. A friend is somebody that you've put in time together, you've been through things together. Hey, puzzle pieces. We got a member in the house. I really appreciate you being here, puzzle pieces. And I got to say, shout out to you and for the super chat that not super chat, the super sticker that you gave. I have to say, shout out to you. And when the super chat hits, so thank you so much, puzzle pieces, for that cash app. I really appreciate it. And I was just talking about the difference between acquaintances and friendships and associates. So, yes, thank you so much, puzzle pieces. I really appreciate you. Um, I feel like it's so important to know the difference because when you have somebody who is an acquaintance, is somebody who is removed, like you don't have any real feelings when it comes to that person. There's not a lot of emotions that is tied to a person who is an acquaintance, but it's a little different when it comes to a person who is an associate. And even the bond is even stronger when it's somebody who is your actual friend. And people will tie all together because they don't understand the definition of the three. Not saying that a person who is an acquaintance can't turn out to be one or the other, but it's very important to know that a person who is an acquaintance is just that. It's somebody that you know of, but there's no real feeling involved with them. And a person who is an associate is somebody that you know and you spend some time together, but they wouldn't necessarily be somebody that you would hang out with and do lots of things with them. Yes, Marlon, this is what I say. People know the difference. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand. And that's why I really wanted to clarify this and talk about it a little bit. So, there is a difference between an acquaintance and an associate. So, when we talk about a person who is an acquaintance, you don't know them that well. It's not a person that you have a sort of bond with. It's someone far removed, maybe somebody like an in-law, or some somebody that that you know of, a friend of the family, but it's not something that you have a close tie with. That's a person that you could call an acquaintance. So a person who is an associate is more of a person that you can know of through business. It's most likely a person that you work with, some type of business relationship, or a school, a person from school. They could be a peer, but not necessarily a person that you're going to hang out with. An associate is somebody that you know of for a purpose. So there's a purpose involved in associating with them through business, through work, through something. Something brought you together. Not necessarily that it was something that you were actually searching for, like you would be searching for in a friendship. There's not really much to that. You come together for a purpose, just like an associate at work. You come together. You have to be together because you work together, but it's not somebody that you're going to hang out with. It's just somebody that I know you because we work together, and then that's the end. It's not somebody like you're going to be cool with after. It's just, yeah, I know you from work, or I know you from school, I know you from whatever group or organization, and then that's the end of it. So it's really important to, when we talk about a person who is an associate, to not get your feelings, not get your emotions tied up with it. And sometimes people get the wrong idea about being associated with. You can be associated with a group of people, but that does not make them your friend. And I say that all the time when it comes to business, like, don't wrap up business with pleasure. When it's time for things to happen with money, like financial ventures, or with work, or with some kind of group, or community thing. That's what it is. We come together, we do what we need to do, and then you go your way and I go mine. And it may sound cold sometimes, but some things is not about getting to know somebody on a personal level. It's not to try to get in that person's business and find out personal things about the person. How many kids do you have, what's going on in your relationship, and this and that. So I try my best to be that type of person. When I get together with a person and it is involved with business, hey, let's talk about this. Or you could have like a greeting. How's your family doing? Are they okay? Okay, good. So let's get into this, talk about this and this. You can be friendly, uh, and be concerned about the person that you are associated with, but it should not go any further. And I believe that that's the reason why people get into some problems when it comes to their business. They don't know how to draw the line. There's no line of demarcation between them. They they blur the lines, and it makes a lot of problems when it comes to money. If you start getting involved in their personal business and know things about their family, know things about romantic things, you start getting a tie together. And it's not good to get ties with people when it comes to business, because if you're there and the original purpose is to be together to get something done, you may get involved in worrying about what that person has going on in their personal life, their romantic life, and not really getting to the task at hand, what's really important. And the important thing may be that business and that support group or whatever it is. So everybody, please know the difference and don't mix the two. I think that's the reason why they always say it. You really shouldn't mix friendship on the job, because once you become friends with somebody, you really aren't getting involved in doing what you need to do when it comes to the business. You kind of let things go, or you give preferential treatment to a person because they're your friend. You're not really thinking, are they actually doing a good job at the business? Or because they're my friend, I'm going to give them a little leeway. I'm going to let them do what they want to because we are friends. or are we going to get into, why we're here, the original purpose? And people get completely off track with their purpose. That's why you have to be the person to stand up and say, I really don't bring my personal business into work. I really don't bring my whatever it is into, um, those type of things. I really want to keep it in a professional manner. So I would really appreciate if we could just stick to, whatever is for work or the group or things like that. Let's keep it that way, and so that we don't get anything confused. It's different if after that event, and you really, get along with the person, if you want to start, you know spending time with that person outside of work. But usually when you are working at a place or you have some type of business with a person, it's very difficult to mix friendships and um, and associates. Um, it's really not a good thing. I've seen people on the job fall out because um, the manager is friends with somebody who is on the job, and they don't hold them accountable. They don't let them do what they need to. There's times where, right now I'm your manager, not your friend. You know, so I do think it's very important. Like on the job, it's job. It's the job. You are my associate. You're my business associate. You're my work associate. You're my school associate. But there does not have to be anything after, and I would really appreciate it if you would act accordingly. Because I see a lot of times people go way too far. People are in relationships on the job. You see people, they're hanging out, they're doing all of these things together, so the lines really are blurred. So when they get to the workplace or school or whatever it is that they have going on, it's confusing because you don't know, like, are we're here they're here hanging out, they're taking selfies, they're talking about recipes and different things, instead of being involved in what's really important, like what is supposed to be accomplished right now for why we are associating together. We're associating here together for the purpose, and the purpose is to get the work done, to get the business done, to get whatever school project done, to work on whatever money, advice, tip, tool, to support whatever it is, the reason why we come together. And that's why I always say I think it's so important to set those boundaries from the beginning, um, especially when I just start a job or I get involved in a support group, and they start off by saying, do you have kids or whatever, and where do you live, and all of these things. And I just say, I would appreciate it to be just known as Miss So and So, or I will call you Miss or Mister. I think when you start calling people by their first name and find out about their family and the things that they have going on, I you do start getting your emotions involved. And I believe that it's so important to check your emotions at the door when you are talking about business, when money is involved. Money has nothing to do with how you feel, what's going on. You have to leave your personal things at the door when it comes to us being an associate of someone. And Puzzle Pieces says, this is why I have coworkers and colleagues that those people at in my workplace have no idea that we are super close, so it doesn't interfere with work. Yeah, it's very important for you to set boundaries and draw a line in the sand and say, you know um I really appreciate you trying to be my friend and all of those things, but I'm really here, my only objective is to do my work and to do what I need to do. So I would really appreciate it. I really don't like to talk about my personal business here. And some people don't like it. They'll get mad. They'll say, you're stuffy, you're this, you're that. But it, you don't, people don't get things confused. Nobody is confused because you're not there talking about your personal or your private business. You're just there to do what you need to do and you leave. And the ones that don't, there's always some difficulty because people get involved in helping them with their private business, doing all of this extra stuff. And I just don't think it's good. It always makes problems. It makes so many problems on a job when people who are colleagues become romantically involved, or people who are have something to do with business start intermingling and trying to be friends. It makes so much problems. So I think it's best, that's just, this is, these are just my personal opinions. I'm not telling anybody what to do. If you want to intermingle these things, then of course it's your life and your decisions to make. But I'm just speaking about it from, a knowledge aspect to all you motivators, that when you set boundaries in all relationships, it makes them healthier. And people will come to the table thinking that, oh, I'm here at work. They're there not to work. Some people are at work to make friends. And I just have to tell them right away, I'm not here at work to make friends. I'm here to make to pay my bills and to do, the reason why I'm here. And that's just it. So everybody won't like it, but I believe that it works better that way. And you don't get involved in all of this, tied up in all these personal and private things, and start feeling uncomfortable when people know certain things about you. So I think it's the best thing. So let's get into, the real meat of this, a friend. Really, what is a friend? A friend is somebody who is loyal, considerate, someone that you can depend on, not just somebody that you know. And I think that a lot of people get things twisted. They think just because they know somebody for a long time that that person is their friend. And you have to really go by the actions of people. You could say all day long that somebody is your friend, but honestly, you have to ask yourself, what have they done for me? And it's not something selfish, it's something real. A person who is your friend will, do they back you up? Do they support you? Do they listen to you? Are they considerate of your feelings? Do they backstab you? Are they supportive of you? Are they understanding? Are they compassionate? Do they encourage you and boost you up to improve and do better? And also I will also say that a friend will not only tell you what you want to hear, a friend will tell you what you need to hear. And that's the difference. I think people get it twisted and think that a friend is just somebody to always be their yes person. When a friend, yeah, it's important for somebody to say, yeah, go after it, do it. What are you doing? Come on, go after, do this and that. But also somebody to say, what are you doing? I thought you were going to do X, Y, and Z. What's happening? A friend should hold you accountable and not just make you feel good, but also be there to hold you accountable and say, you were wrong with this. A friend should be able to check the other without it being something, you know, oh, you hate me and you only tell me the yes thing. A friend should tell you, no, that's not good or right. Hey, Edward, how are you doing? Good to see you. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing good. Happy Tuesday to you. Oh heck no, Martin. Them peeps who is close to me have to work harder. Yep, that's what I'm trying to say. People will get on the job and they'll say, "Oh, I gotta go get my friend," and I'll be like, "Friend? Mm-mm. The workplace is not a place to have a friend. Workplace is somebody who is there to work. And I see a lot of times on the job, like people don't come to work to actually work. They come there to hang out. It's like a place like a bar. Like they're just hanging out, they're having conversation, they're talking, they're taking selfies of what's going on with your family. I guess maybe I'm different. I don't I try my best to not get involved in the bit the in mixing business and pleasure. And I think that a lot of times that people mix the business and the pleasure, and then it makes a huge problem, makes a big problem, because people are now it's confused. Now the emotions are involved. This person is upset. Then when those feelings are involved, or the feelings stop for one person and the other person, the feelings continue. uh, uh, I feel like it makes a mess. It turns things into a complete mess. I've seen it over and over again on the job. um, People are supposed to be associates at work, and then they get involved in a relationship, and then the relationship goes sour, and then those two people are still both are working together, and it becomes very uncomfortable because that now, like, they don't want to talk to each other, and it's awkward. And you can cut the you know you can cut it like a knife, like the tension. It's so tense in there. And I do understand the reason why they always say don't mix business with pleasure, because it always makes problems. It makes so many problems. I've seen it time and time again. And I do understand why they always say is zero tolerance for people becoming romantically involved on the job. I don't believe in it at all. And I think that people who do, if you're going to be involved with somebody on the job, you need to switch to another department. I don't think you should be working in the same department, because something will happen. You get into a disagreement at home, and then you bring it to the work. So it's really not good. And it's actually kind of frustrating to be associated with people, and they're bringing friendship into the job, and then they'll let that person, oh, they're not feeling good today, so like they get an easier load. And I'm like, how come? I do you ask me how I feel? So I don't believe in those type of things. It's one of those things that I know it doesn't sound nice, but if you don't feel good on the job, then stay home. you know if you can't do the work, then stay home. That's just what it is. There shouldn't be no I'm going to take it easy on you, when you got two people who are getting paid basically the same thing. So why should one person get an easy day and the other person get a hard day because one is not feeling well, because there's preferential treatment because of the manager, the boss, or whoever it is being friends with this person? I don't believe in that. And I think that more businesses need to enact that all those type of things should not be tolerated. And I got to say, in talking about friendships, people do use the word friends so loosely, and they are not friends. Oh boy. People will say, oh yeah, that's my friend. And you look at the way that they treat that person. A friend is a person who is loyal, understanding, compassionate, but also will check the other person. So I really have to say that people use that term, that this is my friend, but look at the way that they treat the person. And I'm like, if that is how you treat a friend, I don't want to be any part of it. So I really don't think it's good to mix the two. It's up to everybody, but I don't think that people should be friends at work. I think it's like off the clock. If you want to hang out on your own personal time, that's fine. But on the work, no. And another thing that I have to say too is when we talk about associates, a friend of a friend, sometimes that person who is an associate feels that they deserve to get the same treatment as another person that has built up, after time, after knowing, and that person is an associate and they feel that they deserve to get the same type of treatment when you don't even really know them. Have you all experienced this type of thing? That's one thing that I really don't like a lot is people who are associates. Like, I don't even really know you. I only know of you, and they want to get like a friend discount, or they want you to do something for them because you know somebody. Hey, can you give me a ride? Could I borrow your car? Could I do this? Could I do that? Can you do this for me? Basically wanting you to co-sign for certain things, and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're not my friend. You're not even an associate. You're just somebody I know of. And I it's very important to draw those lines and those boundaries and let people know, like, I'm sorry, I really don't know you. And it's not the most comfortable conversation to have with people, to let them know, like, you are an acquaintance, you're not as an associate, and you're definitely not a friend. And I have to say that I do think that friendship is so important. It's so important to have good friends, but good friends are hard to find. It's like you'll know of someone for a while, and you'll think that maybe a friendship is growing or blooming, and then something underhanded happens. I always say you find out really how people are when something happens. Like, are they going to throw you under the bus, or are they going to back you? Are they going to be supportive, or are they going to play games or just try to save their own skin? That's when you really find out what a person is really about, and if that person is even your friend. Because I have to say, even sometimes from the beginning, we think people are our friends and they never were. That person is just putting that label to say that they're friends with you so that they can use you, so they can take something from you, so that they can, like, push their own agenda. And I had to pay more and more attention. It's not something comfortable to say that somebody isn't your friend, but it's something real. It's something that we have to say, and we have to pay attention to those things. Like, not everybody that we know is our friend. Not everybody that we associate with is our friend. Not everybody who is an acquaintance is our friend. And it's high time we start, putting people in the right categories. Like, I don't really know you. I don't trust you. I really, I just know of you. You are an acquaintance, and keep it that way. People have to learn how to be more professional and how to speak up, and to stop letting people use them, and stop putting that label on people as friends when they're just a person that you are acquainted with. And, friendship is something that is very, very important to each of us. We all want good friends, but we also have to ask ourselves those questions to have a good friend. Am I a good friend? There's so many people out there, and they're just about, what can I get? What do I get out of it? And they're not willing to do anything and pour anything into anybody. It's just about themselves. They're very selfish. They're users, and unfortunately, some people have some issues up here. Some mental illness issues. Some bipolar or some schizophrenic, or something. There's something that is not right with them. There's something off, and some people can get so controlling when it comes to friendships, that if you have a friendship with somebody else, they get upset and angry. You don't only have to have one friend, In friendships, you also have to pay attention that is this friendship toxic? Or is this a healthy relationship? Do they check me on things? Do I check them? Do we have boundaries set up? Is there respect there? Or is this controlling? All of those things are very important to talk about. It's a very important conversation to have, to let everybody know that, while you're my friend, I have my life, you have your life. I can have other friends other than you. And it's not going to be controlling, it's not going to be toxic. I don't have to spend 100% of my day talking to you, telling you every single detail of my life, but we can chill and we can hang out as long as both sides are getting something. And a lot of people don't understand that in friendships both people need to be getting something out of it. And if you're not, you have to ask yourself, why am I calling this person my friend when this is just a person who is using me as a doormat? And for a long time, I didn't really realize that, because I used to group all together. Like, I thought people at work were friends. I thought people I went to school with were friends. I thought people that I knew of in business were friends. And it's not until you learn how to separate them that you can uh, get success, you can get peace of mind, because you need to understand that on the job is not a place to talk about your personal or private things. Like, when you get to, I had to learn, it was something learned. I learned these tools when I went through therapy, that when I go to work, I got to leave my personal and my private business. Even if you're going through a lot of things, you can't be there telling other people, oh, I got this going on and this is happening with my family or in my romantic relationship. And you see it all the time. We all see it all the time. People don't know how to draw lines and make boundaries. And that's why, if they don't make any boundaries, you have to make boundaries. So when those things are coming up, or they start saying things, this is when you walk away and you say, okay, that's not really professional, or I have to go. I have something to do. And then people will get the message after a while that you don't really want to get involved in their personal business, and also you don't want to get your personal business involved with them. It's very important to do those things. And I think it's very important to do these things, because then when you get to work, you can just be involved in work. And I really like that, to have that type of comfortable atmosphere, because I know that many of us have been through those situations where it's work, or it's an associate thing, or it's something else, and everything gets tied up together. Hey, puzzle pieces, how are you doing?
Hello, Marlene. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here.
How are you feeling today?
Allergies.
Oh, no. You too? Do you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah. I'm just pushing through, but I'm good.
Good, good. Exactly. That's exactly how we got to work in life. This is happening, but you know what? I'm here. I'm good. We're going to take care of
Mhm.
it no matter what, right?
Right.
So, what is the topic today?
Oh, we're talking about the difference between associates, acquaintances, and friends.
Oh, okay. Now, let me ask you my famous words. How long do we have in this podcast?
I don't know what happened.
Uh, something got
My
pressed.
Yeah, I pressed something. I apologize.
That's okay. No, so I have to ask you, Marlene, my famous question: how long do we have in your podcast?
We can talk. We can talk. We can
We
talk.
have we have day,
Yeah.
days,
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah.
Well, going back to a serious face now, and I'm doing that, that little face thing that we do with our hand. Okay, going back to a serious face.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of times. And you and I work in an industry, Marlene, that teaches us, right? That in like very early on, as we start, getting in more involved in our careers, more involved in working in different places, right? Different environments, um, different how can I put it? Different people, different mentalities, right? We learned
Hmm.
early on that it's not. It's very important to keep your private life private. That's the one thing we learn. I don't. I'm sorry. Including you in it because you work in the medical industry. But maybe I have to say that's what I learned very early on in my career, that your private life is kept private, right?
Yeah, I learned that very quickly.
As well. Okay. Okay. So I'm not alone on that one. And so, and with the same talking, is I learned as well that you go to work with your coworkers, right? They're your coworkers. They're not your co-eds, your co-friends. They're your coworkers.
Hmm.
Um, and again, I learned to getting burned that you don't make um, close friendships. To like, you cannot really make close friendship at work because one wrong move on your part and that so-called very tight, colleague friendship falls apart and your personal business are being told all over your workplace. Then, and that's only on the personal business level. Now, I'm going to go into the professional level. They want, as soon as they become friends of yours in the workplace, or I mean, fun colleagues at work, they want the special treatment. They want special treatment. They get upset if you give them orders. They start slacking, and that's happened to me in multiple jobs. Multiple places. So I'm speaking from experience, and it hasn't been just the one time. I have made like close acquaintances elsewhere, not telling my personal life, of course, like I said, because I learned early not to. But then they start, wanting you to give them either like not give them so much work. If you send them to do something, or you can continue to ask them, hey, why haven't you finished this, or what's going on with this? They start getting upset. They want that special treatment. So I learned that, hey, some people are not meant to be your friends. They're just meant to be your coworkers.
Yeah, and it does. It takes some maturity. It takes maturity to figure that out. That you can't bring, the emotional side to the job. And I can't speak for everybody. I can't speak for all women. I'm just speaking for myself as a woman. I had to learn how to fix my emotions. That if I was having a bad day or a meltdown, that I knew that I couldn't go to work and be, what is the word, and be a good worker that day, because I was just in an emotional day. And you can't be on the job and get your emotions involved, because it's not right or fair to other people. So I had to learn that when I was going through something, I had to say, check it. I got to check it at the door. Like, it has nothing to do with anybody else. I'm going through something, and it has nothing to do with what's going on the job, and it has nothing to do with the coworkers, and it's nobody else's business to know either.
Exactly, Marlene. And that's and again, you have to your self maturity helped you realize that, right? And for me, is it was more of when I first started. I didn't have. I guess I was still working on myself, with my therapist and everything. So I wasn't there yet per se of knowing that to make those differences. But I think that getting burned on the job gave me that maturity to say, you know what, why did I do that, or why did I share so much with this person, and why did I even share that I'm seeing a therapist? Why did I even, like, why? That why started happening a lot more. that's when I learned that nope, you keep your personal private to yourself.
Yeah. I think that that's I'm so glad that you brought that out. I think that that's very profound too. You have to be in that space in your life where you're mature, and we tend to associate a person's chronological age with, maturity, and age does not equal maturity. We've seen that time and time again through many examples of people that we know in our lives. So we have to go by, their their actions, and some people, their actions is just not up to par, and also some people have never grown and matured emotionally. And I learned that from the Lord, who's in the chat, that that's emotional intelligence. And I didn't even know that that's what it was, but I just knew that I couldn't control my emotions. And I found that when I learned how to control my emotions, I learned how to control my life.
Exactly, Marlene. And that's and you know what? The thing is that you don't even have to like. You say that you can see this, the emotional maturity, the growth of the individual on people that you know. But you know what? YouTube can teach you a lot about that too. Like I've learned here on YouTube streets that it's not a a one time incident, that just the one person in my life wasn't mature, or that the two people in my life were mature. No, no, I learned that there's a lot of that, you know, all over the world, everywhere. That is not. It wasn't just my my incident, my problem, or the person that I knew. That there's a lot of people like that here, and sometimes we, even though we know, right, Marlene, we know that the signs that when people are not mature, you can see them. Sometimes we get burned here too. Giving those people a little bit of, let me give them a chance. Maybe it happened with that person, but it won't happen to me. And you give them that chance, and then you get burned the same way. So you have to be very vigilant when it comes to um, people like that. The lack, the maturity, because Marlene is right. Age doesn't equal maturity. It has to be something that you have acquired through your experiences in life, and I mean acquire not just by experiencing, but actually learning from them.
And I think that that's the difference, that you can go through things over and over again, right? But if you don't take it as a lesson, if you didn't grow through it, and I think that that's what I learned, is not just that I've been through things, because I went through things over and over again, and things kept happening to me, but it's that I chose to grow from it. And that was the biggest thing for me, that I grew from the experience, and I said, you know what, I have to learn to, when I go to work or when I'm dealing something with business, that I keep it that way, yeah, that I had to keep it that way. Like, I'm going to keep this professional. I'm not going to get my personal involved in professional.
Marlene, I probably um, gonna flip the script here, even though we don't have one. No, no, I was just thinking something right now, that we're talking about when we get involved with people that they burned us, through friendship like that, and I just thought about something, because it has happened to me before. Um, how about those people that when you are colleagues, or coworkers, and um, that you become a little bit close, and they know that you're close to them, and you're going the extra mile to please them and everything, and they take advantage of that, of your kindness, and and add more to your pile, like they know that you're helping them with their, with their tasks, that you're trying to make it easier for them and everything, and they know it, and they're taking that advantage of your kindness like that.
Yeah, and I've seen it a lot, here on social media, namely YouTube, that you can be people turn the YouTube from an associate to a friendship, and they get so involved with helping another person on, their channel or whatever what they're trying to do, that they get stuck, and they get stuck in because that person is their friend here on YouTube, when actually they're really not. They're just an acquaintance. So you got to really pay attention and go by how a person acts, not only in your face, but also behind your back.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I've learned, and I'm glad you went there. I've learned a lot here, and I tell people, I'm not a content creator, right? And I'm not speaking from maybe a content creator experience, but I'm speaking from a content creators that have become friends to me, that have been taken advantage of, and that have been used in that manner. And as the friendship between, those content creators and me develops, it bothers me. It makes me uneasy to see that these people are that way towards them, and it gives me even more fear to ever start a YouTube channel or become a content creator. I'm like, oh, nope, nope, cool, nope. That person is the nicest. That content creator is so kind. That content creator is so always trying to help other people, and they still go through this without actually having done anything to the other person. I'm like, nope, I'm cool. I know me, so I'm probably gonna make a lot of people, a lot of feathers get ruffled up if I ever do it. Become a content creator. So nope.
Yeah. The one thing that I learned is I had to remind myself, and I think that's everybody, whether it's in real life or it's here on this app. You have to remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. Are you doing this to hang out and chill and get friends, or are you doing this, and is this your business? So I had to learn to start changing my moves. Like, if you're here for friends, then cool, then do that. But don't complain that your business isn't going right, because you're blurring the lines. Either you're going to do this and people will be your associate, or these people are going to be your friends, but both can't happen, at the same time.
Meaning, um, what do you mean? Like how? Like by that? Like,
Like, okay, you have your, I'm referring mainly to YouTube.
mm-hmm,
You can't be a friend to somebody on here and just think about your friendship, and you stop doing what you're supposed to do for
mm,
what you're doing on your channel. A person who is a friend, you got to understand that we're both here
mm-hmm.
for a purpose, and I have my channel, you have yours, and we can be supportive, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to stop doing what I do for you.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think, Marlene, that that's what a lot of no, I shouldn't say a lot. I should say that some, right? I don't want to give, I don't want anyone to come after you for what I'm about to say, but I have a feeling that plenty of people,
Uh-oh, your mic went out.
they know they can take advantage from, because um, excuse me, they know it. YouTube is not, because you're behind a screen or in front of a camera. People will take advantage. They know who they can take advantage of. They're very skilled at that.
Mhm.
And I don't like that part, is that they expect you, kind of like the workplace, right? When you become a friend or a YouTube friend to this person or these people, they expect you to be pretty much making their content shine, or making their channel grow, or expect that if you don't, one time you not work with them in some place, that's when they flip this, they turn on you, and they start, or maybe not so nice, so not so bold per se on the first time, but they start throwing rocks at you. They, in a real YouTube acquaintance or friend, is someone that is in the background, that people don't even know that you're friends, and they're always there for you, even if they are content creators as well. That friend is always there for you, helping you behind the scene. They don't have to be in front of it, and you don't have to glorify them, and they don't have to glorify you, and that is a true friendship, because you're both supportive of each other, but you don't have to have the need to be promoting them all the time, but you're helping as much as you can on the background, and that person appreciates you in one way or another, but it doesn't have to be in front of everybody.
Yeah.
That's a
So
true friend
so
and a true
basically,
supporter.
it's not about the cloud. It's about you. You have to know who that person is behind the scenes, not in front of the camera.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's about who they are behind the scenes, like who they are in like real life, and people blur the lines here on the internet, and they get it confused that just because you know of somebody on the internet, it doesn't mean you really know them in real life and what they're about.
Yeah, and that's it though. Yeah, and even if let's say this person didn't turn out to be your friend or your acquaintance, or even though that person probably rocked with you for a long time, but for some reason something happened between you two, that that person shouldn't go on YouTube or any platform and throw rocks at you and
Mhm.
try to antagonize you for a YouTube fight.
Yeah.
Mention your name without mentioning your name to
Yeah.
attack you because you stopped helping him or her, or for whatever reason. Like that's to me that when I see things like that, like I said, it gives me a little bit of, actually a lot more hesitation to jump on certain panels. I'm very selective on where I do them, because I want to do that in panels that is going to make a difference for others, right? I'm not about fights, I'm not about things like that. And that's, the saddest thing is that I come across people that I sometimes I think that, oh my god, this is really good, content creator, they're serious, blah blah, and then all of a sudden they flip the whole their whole demeanor, and they start attacking others. And I'm like, sometimes even by name, which is so.
Yeah.
And that's when I unsubscribed and of
Oh, I think your mic went out.
you believe in, Marlene. Even if you want that you don't believe in, then you shouldn't be supporting that particular, that kind of content. To me, it's something that I don't do in real life. I'm not around toxic people. That's not what I do. I distance myself from a lot of people, including family members, because of it. So I'm thinking I'm not gonna do the same thing here on YouTube. No. If your content is not something that I can be proud of, being part of, listening to, or whatever, then what am I doing here? Just because you're a friend of a friend of a friend or whatever, I don't care. So I'm starting, like I have started already to, distance myself from a lot of that, unsubscribing from people that have nothing to do with me.
Yeah. I will say that you really find out what you're made of when you come onto this app. I would say it that way. You really find out what you're made of, because there are times where you feel like people make you so upset here by the things that they do, and then you got to remember, like, what why really am I here? I'm not here for them. I'm
Mm-hmm.
here because you got to remind yourself of your purpose. And I find myself coming back to that full circle, and I find myself being very proud of my own character. I can only stand on my character. I can't um, say about what somebody else is about, because I'm not in control of another person. I'm only in control of me. I can only be accountable of me. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
There you
what
go.
um that's what I that's what I'm talking about. And that this is the type of real conversation, that I like to have, that it's not about what somebody says they are. It's about when, you're not around. Like, if you just jump into somebody's chat but you're in the bushes, if somebody doesn't know you're there, or are they saying things about you behind your back, but without saying your name, throwing, as you say, throwing rocks. So
Mm-hmm.
I think,
Virtual rocks.
yeah, virtual rocks. So it's just important to know the reason why you are here on this platform and in real life. It's about redefining your purpose. What you're really interested in, and it shows really the type of person that you are. My mom always said that, that you are a person who is just like fruit, and you take the fruit and you're juicing it. What really are you? Are you going to be, that pulp, or are you going to be the juices left behind?
That's a beautiful analogy.
So,
Moms were always
that
using
part,
food.
that part, those who get it. So it's all of that. So I think it just shows about what you are about, you know, what you choose to say about other people. And even when you have the chance to do something, I feel like it's very profound, for when, even if somebody says something about you on here, that you choose to not respond. To me, I feel like that speaks louder than words.
Yes, that does. And it's sometimes it's very hard to do that, Marlene. Not to go on the attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not sometimes. I've been on the bushes too, and I'm listening, and I want to jump on that panel or on that chat and say like 1,000 things that I'm thinking about that particular person, but it takes a lot of because they're offending probably someone that I like, that I care for, and that I know it's not what they're saying it is, that person is. I want to jump there, but at the same time I stay in the background, I stay away, because what those people are trying to do with that behavior is generate clout, whether it's positive or negative. They don't care, because they're not on YouTube or on any social media to make a difference in, in the world. They're not here to make a difference, to help at least the one person that may be listening to you, that is down, and you can help build up. They're not here for that. They're just here to um, either get up there and get monetized, and get those cash apps, because they're being nasty or negative, or the one person in your chat that is there probably doesn't like this other content creator, so you start going on so that they can give you that super chat or that cash app or whatever. And so when people do that, that are here just going on and on about nothings, and are always in constant attacks of people that are actually helping them, right? Without saying a name, because they're cowards. They will never say their name. But that are here doing those things, I feel that seeing and witnessing all that goes on, and seeing the restraint of the person that knows that they're talking about them, that's what sometimes I say, that gives me hope. Maybe if I start, which I'm not, right? But if I ever started, something, I
Uh-oh, your mic went out. We'll wait. I'm sure I'll come
Can
back.
feel happy no matter what everybody else to my content. It was not coming to me, you know. So it's really sad to see things like that happen, but they do, and you have to be aware of them, and you have to be very, very careful
You do.
not to engage those people because they're not worth it.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I always have to remind myself of my reason for being here, because you can get involved in somebody, somebody saying something, and immediately you want to go on attack mode, and you feel like you should defend your
Mm-hmm.
character. And my dad always told me from I was a little girl, and I didn't get it until way, like, I think maybe I got this last year, and my dad has been gone almost 7 years, and I feel like I just got it, that people will really find out really who you are when when you're tested. People find what you're really about. You could say you're about all of these things, but then when something happens to you, what do you do? I always say, now that's when you find out what somebody is. Did they shine? Did they elevate, or did they drag down? To me, that's when I find out really if that's a person that I can hang with, I can
Mm-hmm.
rock with,
Mm-hmm.
and I can support. And then those are the other times where I found like, ooh, I thought I could. I was like, I don't know about this one.
I got to go. But you know, my dad always said that too. Like adversity makes your character, right?
Mhm.
Whoever you are after everything that you're going through, and because
Mhm.
people don't understand, Marlene, words can be very, very, very triggering for some people. Very hurtful, as much as a knife, you know, can hurt someone. Words can cut the same way. And by people doing things like that, you don't know how that other content creator or how a person may feel with the words you're saying. You may trigger something. You don't know. You have to be very careful here. But the difference between someone that will act upon defending, you know, her yourself on a platform like that, or going down to their level, the difference between you and somebody else is that you have a healthy, you know, mind. You already worked on yourself, but we don't know if the other content creator that they're talking about has, and that's when problems can arise. You have to be very careful because you don't know who you're dealing with behind that screen.
Mhm. And that's why I always say that you never know what somebody else is going through. Your words can be the difference in encouraging somebody and discouraging somebody. So if a person is right on the border, of wanting to unalive themselves, and all they need is just a little encouragement, and you just push them aside,
Mm-hmm.
or you actually stab them in the back or do something, you could be the reason why they're not here anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
I always say that, how would you feel if you think about your last interaction with that person and what you said and did?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the way that I try to think, and I'm grateful for the parents that I had. They
Mm-hmm.
always told me to think about what you're going to do before you say it. And I get it, sometimes in the moment you just spontaneously, things come out. And of course we're not perfect, we all do wrong things, but for the most part I try to be the type of person to think before I speak.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to copy or anything, but you know, if I'm the type of person too, you know, even if when people are very aggravated towards me and they're yelling or whatever it is that they're doing, or they're talking about me, anywhere here on social media or on the real world, and I am the type of person that I stay quiet. You know, I'm just processing. Sometimes I'm tuning out whatever they're saying. It's not registering at all. But sometimes when there's someone that I care for and they stab me or in the back, or they're, you know, they're being disrespectful or anything like that. So I stay quiet because I always tell people, you know, I didn't tell you that when you were being crazy going on and on and on, because I always tell them when I tell you something, it's gonna be something, you know, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I'm not going to regret. So I think before I speak, because when I talk to you, when I go to you and tell you exactly how I feel, it's gonna be something I will never regret.
Yep. I feel like it's so important to operate from a very mature point of view. That there's sometimes where you have to be like, I just need a moment to think so that I can process everything that's going on. And that has really helped me a lot because if as soon as something comes at you and you don't take a moment to think like, are they going through a lot, are they okay, or you got to take yourself outside of the equation sometimes, and that's what you do when you're mature. Like, what do they have something going on and all of those things, and did I say something to trigger, like, all of that, the accountability of it all, that a lot of times as adults we don't put into the equation what we have done as well. We only see what their reaction is. And we don't say, oh, but I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. And then if you step back and you go, oh, yeah, how was your voice? Like, how was your tone? Were you throwing shots? It's all those things that you have to be honest about, all that stuff. And then you can come to the table and say, okay, I did this, and you also have to know what you didn't do, and that's all them.
Mm-hmm. And you know, the my dad used to use an analogy that I was like, what does that even mean? What the hell is even that? Like the words drop says, right? When some people will like be disrespecting my dad for either a business or deal or at work or just a neighbor, whatever. And my dad will say like calm, and the person will be going crazy, you know, their hands up and cussing and everything. And after that person was done, my dad always said this: "Are you done?" And the people would get like, "What do you mean? Are you done?" Yeah, he says, "Okay," and he will take off. And I sometimes I used to be next to him, right? And I was younger. I remember this. I was like, "Why isn't he answering back?" And I was like, "Dad, why didn't you say anything?" He just, oh, I was so mad. He just called you all this, or, oh, that lady. If I was, told her, I would just kick her tush. And my dad said, "No, what for? Two crazies don't make us sane." And I never got that. I'm like, what is that? What does that even mean? What do you mean two crazies don't make us sane? And I went on and on and on in my life with that until I got to the age that probably of that my maturity level caught up with my age, right? When I got to that age, I started going back to all those sayings, when my dad passed, I started going back and using a lot more of that, and now it makes sense. Going off on each other, nothing's gonna get solved, nothing is gonna get resolved, nothing is gonna get um, taken care of. The problem is not going to be solved. It's not going to be clear what happened, right? It can make it even worse. So that's why he said, two crazy people yelling at each other is not going to resolve anything. That's what he meant.
Yep. And that's what one of the things that I appreciate about my father, and I feel like he had to be that way, having so much children. But he was the calmest person I have ever met. He was always like, like, I always imagine my dad, like, he always would just be like, no matter what's happening, the house could be like on fire, everything's happening, complete chaos, and my dad would just be in the room. He's just relaxing and chilling, like it did nothing affected him. And I draw from that he always said that you can't let the outside control your inside. And the older that I'm getting, I get that now more and more. You can't let whatever mayhem or chaos that's happening affect your peace. So you have to know who you are
I
and
am
what's
going to
going
use
on.
that from now on, Marlene. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm going to use that from now on. Don't let the outside affect the inside.
Hmm. Yeah, my
So
dad used
true.
to always say that.
And but it's a thing that he had to have mastered young in his younger years, because you know sometimes it's very to me, sometimes it's difficult to not to let the outside, affect the inside. It's something that I guess,
Uh-oh, your mic went out again.
yeah, work on that myself. I don't respond, I don't say anything, but it does affect me, so I have to work on that.
Yeah, and I understand. It's not that you don't go through things and you don't feel certain ways, but as you grow up and you mature, you have to know how to decipher and say, this is somebody that really doesn't matter at the end of the day, especially as a person who's just an acquaintance. They don't really matter. But if it's a person that it is your friend, you have to step back and ask yourself some questions. And did I do something? And what was mine? What did I do? What am I responsible? What did I bring to this equation? And what didn't I do? So all of those things, it shows how you can grow and continuously mature.
Yeah, that makes sense. But
I'll be
again,
right back, okay?
sure. How's everybody doing today? I hope that all of you are having a good day.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
You know how it is when you're live. Everybody calls and okay, it's interesting. You mentioned that about your father, Marlene, because that's how I am as a person. I do this thing where I always stay calm in any situation. I can't even help it. Hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, well, I definitely am not that way. That's not my that definitely was something that I had to grow into. I definitely had to grow into that. Yeah, so I really have enjoyed this discussion, and I think that it's so important to talk about this, and know the difference between associates, acquaintances, and friends, and know the difference. You got to know the difference, and then you can, like realist one says, act accordingly.
Yeah, you know what, Marlene? Also, if you make those differences early on in your career, you have a better experience in the workplace. And I've noticed that is, like I said, but it takes for you to get burned a couple of times, right? For you to start saying, you know what, or for your maturity level maybe to reach its potential. You start making those changes, and keeping everything at bay. Like everything has its place, right, in the workplace. Like, like our drawers, they have everything has their own little spot. So I think that once you start making those differences, like, okay, this is work, you know I have colleagues, and and that's it. Let's not mix the friends that are working with me. Let them not affect the outcome of what I'm here to do. And and that's the one thing, like I said, I had to learn a, a little bit of in a hard way, that you cannot have that friendship being shown on the workplace, because then other people will try to get away with certain things as well because your friend works there, and since that person is, you're allowing that person to go in a certain way, then they want to try to imitate that, and it becomes toxic.
And that's why you have to pay attention to, all the signs, all of the red flags, all of everything, and do what you need to do so that your life is at peace. And I found that if you don't take control of your life, you're going to not have it, and you can't let other people come in your life and disrupt your peace.
Yeah, sorry about that. The wolf was at work. Um, exactly, and the worst thing that has happened to me because and this is, I think, Marlene, when I learned that lesson. The worst that happened to me is that the friend that I brought to work with me, right?
Mhm.
I in that particular time or that job, I had to quit at the end
Mhm.
because this person had gone on to divulge a lot of my personal,
Ooh.
my personal life, or as much as she knew of my personal life. And um, a lot of people were asking questions, and my boss, started to get involved in, what's going on. Why are they, all these people, talking about her? And I had no idea in the beginning where it was coming from until I started to say, you know what, the only person that knew that, it's this person, right? So I started putting, those little word traps that you put on people to see if it's them or not.
Right.
So I started seeing that, and I said I did something on purpose. And 3 days later, I heard it from somebody else, you know.
Oh.
So I said, oh, okay, so it is this person that it's saying this. So it had become, I confronted her, like not at the workplace, but in person. When we went out for coffee, I confronted her and I said, why are you, being this way with me? And, stop telling my personal stuff. And then when we went back to work, I had 5 or 6 people looking at me side eye, you know,
Mm.
and I would start having problems with when was asking people for help. Everybody was busy because of what I had
Yeah.
said to her. So I said, you know what, this is not going to work. And I gave my 2 week notice. My boss was really sad, but I said, I can't do this anymore. And I left. So that going forward to my new job, I was like, nope, we're just acquaintances. There's no friendships here, none
Yeah. No.
whatsoever. And even if I saw friends, just I'd be like, oh my god, you work here too? And they're like, yeah, I'm working too. I said, okay, good. Take care of yourself. Bye. I put that barrier. Like nobody will ever get that close to me at work like that.
Yeah, I think everybody at one period of time or another, they've been burned, you know,
Hmm.
by blurring the lines and not putting up boundaries and putting people in their place. And you have to do that, or you're going to have all these problems. And the problems happen when you don't, say from the beginning, hey, I don't talk about that, or I don't do that, or or I don't gain friendships from the job, or I don't do this, or I don't do that, or just don't overshare in general. I think that that's really important. Like Jinx Journalist says, yeah, don't overshare, put out more positive. So that's another thing that I learned to keep more of your personal and negative things away from other people. Not that the negative doesn't happen to you, but I try my best to not share the negative with other people. I keep the negative to myself and try to handle it on my own, and then only share the things that are positive, because I believe that the more that you put out positive is the more that you're going to get it back, and it will be radiating for you.
You know, give me a second, Marlene. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and I think that is so important for us to put 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 people into certain categories. Like I said, find out who is a person, who's an associate, who is an acquaintance, and who is your friend, and then move accordingly. And don't put people in categories that they're not. We like to say that we have lots of people who are our friends, but the question is, do we really? No, we don't. That we want to call people our friends, but they really aren't. They're truly an acquaintance. Most of
Hmm.
the time, they don't even get in the category of being an associate. They're just an acquaintance. So stop calling people who are an acquaintance your friend.
And sometimes people surprise you too, Marlene. When they are your real friend or a true colleague or whatever, they don't they treat you the same way at work. That's when you know that that's a true friend. That your friendship is outside of work, or that you're good acquaintances, that you continue. If this person comes up, you don't expect anything from them, any privileges from them. You don't expect special treatment, and they show you that they're not expecting any of that from you, right? That you're there to work. Those are the people that you can call friends. The friendship has nothing to do. We're here to work. So you can give orders to them. You can you know sometimes confront them on certain things that they're not doing, or something that they're not um, voicing some problems that are arising, and these people continue to be your friends. That's a true friend, or that's a true colleague.
I always will say that, whenever a situation happens and then you see that they still are, moving and acting the right way, and they haven't backstabbed or divulged any of your personal business, that's the person that you continue on with. And the person, when you find that they backstabbed, you'd be like, okay, I didn't see
Mm.
that one coming, so let's move on.
Yeah, but I always tell people in this day and age that um, sometimes it's better just to go to work and do just that. Go to work. Get of course. um, I'm sorry. Of course, be kind, be polite, be respectful, right, of everybody, but don't try to get too close to people, like in that way. Don't expect too much from people. And I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. I'm learning as well, that you cannot expect much, that you just go there, do your job, be polite to your coworkers, be polite to your colleagues or associates or whatever, but don't expect any more than just that. An
Yeah.
associate, a coworker, because I'm seeing it less and less now that you can form meaningful relationships at work.
Yep, and I think that that's what it is that the expectation always make you have a problem, because you expect and you have a certain standard, and then when other people fail to do what you were expecting, then you have the problem, and then you start getting emotional about something because you didn't get what you were wanting. But when you say it out loud, when you communicate with other people and let people, you know when you let people know, like, where you are, like, this is what, I'm here, and this is business, this has nothing to do with
Hmm.
personal. When you set those lines, that they know, like, okay, she's not here for all of the drama and what's going on, then they know to not try to come at you with that, because you don't want to hear it. So I think that it really helps your mental and your emotional to be okay.
We're gonna use a realist. They start to act accordingly once you put
Yeah.
all those things in place. And
Yeah.
but it's true though. You have to, like I said, if people don't do that on themselves, that's okay. But when you come into work and there's friends there that have been hired that you probably didn't know, once and I do this all the time. I treat everybody the same. I don't even acknowledge that person. I go over what's for the day, who's there, what I need to, how am I going to move around in that particular time. And after the day is done, they were like, "Oh, I thought you didn't like me being there. Oh, you didn't even say hi to me in a special way." And I'm like, "We're there to work. At work, you're not my friend. You're my coworker, you're my colleague, but let's keep it that way. If and I feel that if we are true friends, that person is going to do that. It's going to respect the rules and regulations I have in place at work. And most of the time they do.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, that people will think that they should get special treatment just to do what they were naturally already supposed to do. You know, and there's no special treatment for a person to just be respectful and, know boundaries and communicate, but I guess everybody doesn't have that.
No, they don't. And I have had people that have become after the first day of work. And the thing is that in this industry, Marlene, you move around, but I move around a lot. So I've had people that I worked in previous employments that are in this other place, right? So I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in a minute. And we were good, great co-workers and acquaintances and stuff like that. But right away I put that, hey, how you doing? We're here and, to work. And we do the little morning hurdle and then we get our work started. And I have had people that get upset because I didn't specifically say hi to them directly, even though we knew each other. And that's when, I have to tell them, we're here to work. We can talk after if you want to, but during the work time, we're not friends. We're not, good colleagues. We're just here to work.
Mhm. And that's what I always say all the time. Like when I see people on the job and they're hugging each other,
Mm.
I'm like,
Give it a week or two. We're
and
gonna see something happen.
I'm like, this is awkward.
But I'm like, oh no, that's not gonna end well. That's what I say. I'm like, oh no,
Mhm.
that's not gonna work. But I say nothing. I just let them, because that's the only way they will learn.
Mhm.
Especially if you have had more experience with the one person than the new one coming in, and they're like, oh my God. I'm like, oh, that's not gonna work. But you
Yeah.
have to you have to let them fall flat on their face, because if you say something, be careful with that person. And then they start like, can you believe she said that to me, to be careful with? So
Yeah.
I just let him. I just see that train going straight into that wall, and I'm like, oop, move
I always
away.
say, I always say, crash and burn time, and I be like, "Ugh," I start walking faster. Crash and burn time. Let me get out of here.
Exactly. There's so
so,
many times.
yeah. So I feel like this has been a great discussion. I've really enjoyed it, and I wanted to do a final wrap up. Talking about associates, acquaintances, and friends. And I feel like for a lot of us, people will act like, they're all the same, and it's not. And an acquaintance is just that. Acquaintance is a person that you know from a person, from a person, from a person. It's not somebody who has any emotional attachment, whereas an associate could be somebody who's involved in your business, involved in your work, involved in, your school, but it's not somebody that you're on that level to where you trust one another and you have a sort of unhidden, like there's no agenda involved. But when you have somebody who is a friend is a person who has proven by time that they're tested, and you've been through some things together, and that we've been through some things together. We're gonna be okay, because They prove that I'm going to be loyal. I can trust this person, that they're not going to stab me in the back, all of those things. And I think that is so important to know all of these things and, you know, find out really where you fit in with a person and don't blur the lines. Love to hear what Puzzle Pieces has to say.
And what she said. No, it is important though that you establish those rules early on your career, right? It is something that, because like Marlene says all the time, the only person we can control is ourselves, right? So to invoke that particular treatment in the workplace is something that you have to teach them, you know,
Mm-hmm.
teach them by example. We're here to work. I like you as your
Uh-oh, your mic went out.
my good establish those boundaries, whatever environment you're in at the workplace. Live by that example. Don't act one day friendly and then the next day you want to set boundaries. You can't. You have to do it from the very beginning. And I think that we have to understand that we have to control ourselves, our emotions. We have to put out exactly what we want back in return. So if we want respect and if we want a good environment at work, that's exactly what we have to bring. And so that people, their lines don't get blurred, like Marlene says. You have to be that person that I like people to treat me with respect, right? I like people to put their differences and if we're friends, to put them aside because we're at the workplace. I don't want people to start thinking that if I promote you in some way, it's because you're my friend. So that's why I keep friendships on the side. Like, I don't even say you're my friend, because I know that if I promote you, it's because you have earned it, not because I have that friendship factor with you. So just, lead by example in the workplace, and you will have a better time than if you're like all over the place.
I completely 100% agree. So I thank everybody for joining me today. I really appreciate each and every one of you, my motivated family, the subscribers. I appreciate all my moderators and all the members. Shout out to each and every one of you. On Thursday, we're going to be doing members only live. It's going to be an after show. So I'm looking forward to that. And like I always say over here, just know it, just breathe it and be it and live your best life. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time. Bye, guys.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it and be it, and live your best life.
forgive me. I love me. I've been blessed that I have made it through. I'm stronger and worthy. I am enough now. What about you? I forgive me. I love me. I've been blessed that I have made it through. I'm stronger and worthy. I am enough now. What about you? Ooh, yeah.